The November election right around the corner with the candidates for president and governor on the debate stage. We'll have a recap, plus we'll talk with congressional candidates on both sides of the aisle, including Congressman Greg Pence and Congressman Andre Carson, and what the VP and Dr. Deborah Birx are saying about the rapidly rising cases of coronavirus in Indiana. It's all ahead this Sunday in Focus. The candidates for president back on the debate stage Thursday night. At times, a very different debate than the first one a few weeks back, with just 9 days now until the election. We'll have a recap. And the vice president voting early in Indianapolis on Friday after making a campaign stop Thursday in Fort Wayne, alongside Governor Eric Holcomb, who took on his opponents in their first of two debates last week. The vice president also talking about the fight against COVID-19, with his visit coming the same day the state broke yet another record. Cases have been climbing here in recent days, as you see on the graph. Good morning, I'm Dan Spieler. This week, our stations across the state landed exclusive interviews with both the vice president and with Dr. Deborah Birx from the Coronavirus Task Force, as we discussed those record-breaking daily case numbers here in the state of Indiana.
We're just going to continue to make sure, as we're seeing some cases rising across the heartland, that as the governor and I discussed today, that our hospitals, our doctors have all the supplies they need, that our schools have all the testing that they need to keep our kids in the classroom.
I know this kind of asking people to continually sacrifice is difficult, but I think in this moment, when we can see these cases rising, we have to change our behaviors along with preventing these new cases. You see the numbers: increased test positivity, increased cases, increased hospitalizations, increased fatalities. We have the ability to change that now, and we will as a community of Americans.
And the pandemic certainly top of mind at the presidential debate on Thursday night, with those cases rising nationwide. Tamon Bradley has a recap from Nashville.
President Donald Trump and challenger former Vice President Joe Biden laid out their plans to combat the coronavirus, which has claimed the lives of roughly 223,000 Americans.
We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
President Trump argued that even as the virus rages, the economy cannot withstand shutting down businesses. Biden jabbed that the president is trying to wish away the virus.
He says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it.
It's not my fault that he came here. It's China's fault.
Biden opened an attack on President Trump and reports he's only paid a small amount of federal income taxes in recent years.
You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot.
I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do.
President Trump threw punches, raising questions about Biden's son's business dealings overseas.
And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month.
There's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family.
Differences emerged on health care.
It no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. It'll become Biden-care. The public option is an option that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled.
All right, that was Tamon Bradley reporting from the debate in Nashville. Let's also talk right now about the other debate this past week between the candidates for governor here in Indiana.
Our number one priority in the state of Indiana is to make sure that we're adequately and appropriately funding our public school system. We are doing that. We need to do more in terms of teacher pay.
It's like giving a sandwich to a starving person. After 15 years, it tastes good, but it certainly doesn't do the job. It doesn't get us back anywhere close to where we need to be.
And we need to make sure that it is funded for them as long as the state constitution says we're providing common schools.
During the debate Tuesday night, Dr. Woody Myers announced he would name current State Superintendent Jennifer McCormick as his Secretary of Education if elected. Another big topic, COVID-19 and masks.
This is a virus, and you can only do what is easiest and best for you to protect yourself. So the reality is the one thing that we do know is that the Constitution is there to protect our individual liberties and make those choices for ourselves.
It's government's job to lead, and if I'm your governor, public safety will always be first. And yes, we do need a real mask mandate in Indiana, a mask mandate with consequences for the small percentage of Hoosiers who choose not to protect themselves or protect others.
Our individual liberty needs to be guarded. When that liberty or those actions start to infringe on someone else, that's where we have to take a look at the public safety. It's just like a seatbelt. It's just like wearing shoes in a restaurant. It's just like fire codes. They're meant for safety procedures. We're in an emergency.
Now, Indiana's mask mandate remains in place through mid-November and likely for the foreseeable future. Contributing